Welcome, friends, and hello, January 2022. Can you even believe it is already here? I am a little bit late this month, but as you can imagine, it's the beginning of the year, so the first few days don't really count, do they? So forgive me, but here we are. I have started off my journal this year with these sweet little page keepers, and you will actually see them feature on at the top of all my pages and my stills, and I'm actually going to have them using those for each to mark each of the new months, which is lovely. So just a little feature of some paper I had spare and a little idea that I had, and I'm actually really loving them. Okay, moving on, I have done something a little differently than my standard color palette. I've actually done this tools page. I'm not sure what inspired me. I think just that I get asked so often what tools I use, what colors I use, etc., etc. So this was a really fun way of actually kind of showing you all those things, and you can actually go back and refer to those. And of course, I will do the blog as per standard, and I'll add links and all those things to help you out too. But I started off with a little bit of watercoloring. So I watercolored the colors from my brand new Van Gogh paints that I received from my loves for Christmas this year, which was, or last year, 2021. But they're just such a wonderful treat for me. I've been using student quality paints previously, so it's been really lovely to try out these new paints. As you can see in that top left hand corner, you can see that I did a little color palette and played to see what they were going to look like, etc. So these are the actual colored names. Sap green, there's cerulean blue, there's rose, and there was burnt umber as well. So those were the paint colors that I used in the next page, in the cover page as well. So I thought that was really lovely. There are also some of my favorite pigment liners, my white marker that I use on the page keeper and that I use later on in the pages as well. I use an O3 or an O2 in the pigment liners depending on the page, the paper. I do use different ones for different papers, so you will notice quite often the actual number. I'll actually put it down at the end or pick it up at the beginning, so you will see which one I'm actually using, or you can always just ask. Always write in the comments and I'll answer that for you. The Pilot White is a 0.7. It is by far my favorite white marker I've ever used. And then the Copic marker that I actually use throughout these pages as well is a Copic. It's actually called Greyish Olive, and when you see the still next up, you will see I actually add the word greyish to the word Greyish Olive there. There was enough space for me to add that in. I wasn't sure if there was when I was first doing it. And then my favorite kneadable erasers as always. Okay, so moving on, this was my cover page this month, and because I've actually done a page keeper and I'm planning to do one for each month, I actually don't have to write January on this, which was nice. So I started off with a sweet little mason jar. I quite often sketch in the evening, so I do a lot of my prep then. I'm quite busy with everything else I get done during the day, and of course I'm a teacher as well. So this was me doing exactly what I said I was going to do this year, thinking about playing in the sunshine and living by the water and breathing in that beautiful fresh air. So I guess the little girl swinging on the tire is metaphorically me. And the little bird in the nest and signifies rebirth, and again the little tag, begin again, and then once upon a time. So I'm hoping that 2022 ends with a happy ending for us all. We've certainly had a tough few years, so it felt fitting, and it all kind of just comes as it does with me when I'm designing like this. I don't make a conscious plan quite often the words and the ideas, and like particularly this sketch, that just came out of my imagination, started with a jar and grew from there. So I did actually cut out a little Dutch door in that, so you can actually see me wrestling with the cardstock. It is quite a thick cardstock that I used for that one. It actually isn't a watercolor paper predominantly though, so it goes to show, as long as you're not too heavy-handed with the water, a little bit more with the pigment, less with the water, that you can really use any cardstock. If you actually saw any of my Christmas card, maybe I need to attach that for you. When I did my Christmas card watercolors in December, again, that wasn't watercolor. We just moved house. I couldn't even find my watercolor pads, never mind it. Worry about that, and I still hadn't done my Christmas cards. Anyway, moving on, I switched the page from you can see this is on the back of my Dutch door. Because it was a nice thick card, I wasn't worried about ghosting, and I just dived in and I did a month at a glance. I don't normally do such a big calendar, but January's got so much on for me this year, including my birthday, which you will see in the still at the end of the little vid here. But you had such a big month with so much on that I think that I might actually do these month at a glance in future, because I can add in my actual YouTube channel schedule as well, which is new this year. So I think I'm going to make the most of these and do a bigger one than I have in the past. So this will be a bit fun. Okay, so this was actually quite simple. You'll see that I don't use Gridbook. I never have. And I just love, especially this year, being able to use all the different pages that suit me for whichever page I'm creating and whichever media I'm using. So one page is the digital silk that I love, which is a 120 GSM, and then the thick card is on the other side of the Dutch door. I simply put Saturday and Sunday together and divided it with a diagonal line. You will notice I only number to 30. I do know that there's 31 days in December. However, I'm not going to put a whole new line just for that one day. So as you can see, I put the 31st of December, showing that that's flipping over from the previous month. And when I actually move on and do February, I will actually put the 31st of January, and it'll follow along nicely. So I definitely didn't forget a day there. Okay, so moving on, I've decided to do an affirmations page this year, and I've just so much loved working with my black card. Over the Christmas period, I was doing all the tags, etc. as well. I just love working with it so much, in this beautiful white Pilot paint pen, that I decided I'm going to do one of these black, or at least one page in this beautiful black card every month. And this quote I just loved: make someone smile every day, but don't forget that you are someone too. I'm definitely one that forgets that I need to make myself smile, make myself happy. I put off me when I'm taking care of everybody else. So I love that quote as soon as I saw it, and it definitely speaks to me this year. Okay, so then all I did was flip this cardstock over. Again, it's a beautiful thick cardstock. So I thought, right, let's just follow on with this beautiful paint marker, and I did a mood tracker. And as you can see, again, I just started with my freehand cursive that I love. I had the leaves on the tree, so I decided to keep with the leaves, and I just did random little stalks and little wobbly lines and bubbles and turn them into leaves. So each one is completely random. I did sketch it first in pencil and then went over it with the paint pen, but that was more to get the actual scale and the spacing correct. And then I just chose productive, zen, balanced, and overwhelmed as how I will mark them in. Obviously adding color isn't an option because it's a black cardstock, but I've just added a line or a cross hatching, or I'm going to leave them empty when I'm feeling balanced and zen and feel like I'm accomplishing all the things and not feeling too overwhelmed, remembering that my New Year's resolution is to be more balanced. So going on to the next page, I'm back with my digital silk paper, which has a beautiful finish. I did actually start with a really light pencil sketch that you can see. I work on a very light pencil on these pages because they can be hard to erase if you get too heavy-handed. The pencil does erase well with my kneadable eraser, so that is a game changer to be used on this paper because it doesn't remove the gloss and damage the paper, as long as I don't get too heavy. Again, I carried on with these sweet little leaves, and then I don't necessarily make myself stay a week to a page in my weekly spreads. I allow myself grace to just work it how I feel I need to. So this one technically has 5 days, and I'll just take the amount of pages that I need. I went over with the date with my Copic in the greyish olive, and then just outlined it gently in the black pigment. So and I had to add a bit of colour to the leaves. So I hope that you enjoyed this month's planner. There we are, and thank you so much for being with me again. I'll see you soon. Thank you.